Hello, I'm Congressman Doug LaMalfa. I'm proud to be the incoming chairman of the Western Caucus. I was grateful for the strong support for all my colleagues that made the decision on this basically by acclamation. And I appreciate that confidence and belief they have in not just me, but me and all of our team and all of us together as our colleagues are going to be able to do to keep a Western Caucus moving forward. I appreciate my great friend and colleague, Dan Newhouse, for his leadership as chairman these last 2 terms. And so I'm grateful for him, and I'm pleased that he's able to move into other interests he wants to do, and that he thought I would be okay at this as well. So I'm proud to have his confidence too. So this is going to be a lot of fun. I hope it's going to be productive, but we're going to work very closely with the Trump administration to educate them, and then where we need to carry the messages they're trying to do too on the things that we think are important for energy, our economy, and advancing the cause not only of the Western states, but these common issues that are really common to all 50 states, where we need this production to come to this country, we need the jobs to be in this country, and have that strength of independence of energy and all the other inputs that make us strong, that have helped build this country for its entire lifetime.
Yeah, well, I grew up in a rural area of Northern California. We've always been around in my lifetime the rice farm that our family's had since 1931 in Butte County. And so my son will be the 5th generation. We farmed around 1,900 acres there. And then I got into the political scene here and kind of deviated from that for this period of time, but it's important, I think, because as I've experienced in the farmer, in the farm as a businessman, etc., that you have to be involved in politics one way or the other if you're going to have get a fair shake in being able to do what you do. And so there's a lot of people that regulate that have no idea really what goes on or what it takes to put food on the table or any other products. Like, like the focus of Western Caucus, a lot will be our natural resources, which timber and mining and water storage and electricity generation and fuel generation. All those things come together on the farming life. So I think the Western Caucus will continue to be a very good avenue to educate other legislators, and then we take that message and educate other legislators that aren't part of that aren't as tangential to that. Probably people can tell that my participation in the past has been with enthusiasm. I really enjoy Western Caucus. The events we do here in town, the seminars we have, the speakers we invite in to educate us and give us opportunity to be better informed and better, again, spreading the word on what we're about. And of course, the field trips out to the various states to see the projects, see the resources that are there and how we need to continue to use them or expand upon them, and that we can also do it very ecologically soundly. And our record is very successful, and the Western Caucus wants to point that out. And it's so important that these products come from the U.S. And we need to be energy independent, we need to be food independent. So that's why we fold all these different aspects into what I think is the purview of it. It is heavy on natural resources. I'm a member of the Natural Resources Committee, as well as the Ag Committee and the Transportation and Infrastructure Committee. So when you think about the purview of all of those, they just line up perfectly as what we need to do. And the West has so much of these resources available, and we are underutilizing them. We know ecologically how to do things correctly, and we don't get much credit for that sometimes, because when we need to open a new mine. I heard in one case 29 years worth of permitting and fighting and wrestling over doing that for a copper mine. Well, we see on the mandates that are coming down the pike for some areas trying to mandate all vehicles to be electric by 2045 or whatever date they pull out of the air, and mandating electric stoves, mandating electric leaf blowers, and just about everything else. That no matter where that goes, we're going to need the minerals anyway. We're going to need these metals anyway. I'm pleased we've been able to advance the cause somewhat, at least, on timber and making places a little more fire safe, and then helping the people that have been the victim of fire
to get through what has happened to them. A bill that we worked on a few years ago now. It was a bipartisan bill, and that'll be an important part of this. I hope that the Western Caucus can be a bipartisan in nature operation. And so with Mr. Schrader from Oregon and I were able to advance a bill that ended up becoming an amendment into a larger bill that made the process of trimming around power lines, forested areas where they interface with power lines, make it a simpler process to be able to go do the work on removing trees and branches and things that are seen as dangerous or likely to cause interference with the power line, because you have two bad things that happen from it. You're likely to get a power outage, and you're likely to get a fire that starts, and then with the forests being managed the way they are frequently, and especially in the federal areas, kind of like non-managed, you're going to get a massive fire. And firstly, I'm tired of seeing 6-digit or even 7-digit sized fires happen needlessly because of something as simple as not being able to speedily identify trees that are hazardous trees, dead trees, or likely to fall over a power line. But much more so that beyond that bill and that priority to do more aggressive forest work around those areas anyway, around power lines, around communities, that will give a buffer for if there's a power line problem, it won't immediately just go through tens of thousands of acres, or if a fire does approach a community from somewhere, that you have the ability to knock the fire out, control it, and burn around the town. I've had at least 3 towns in my district that were devastated almost completely, and you get really, really tired of having to help people out of that when so many times it seems needless. I have other communities that could be this is easily threatened, with the grace of God, the wind stops that day, or the amazing work of the firefighters in that area are able to head it off, push the fire in another direction, or stem the speed of it. So whether it's working around power lines, that legislation we were able to do helped on that, streamlining and speeding up the policy for which they would approve permits to remove hazardous trees. It's frustrating we even have to do that. That should be automatic, but we got that bill done. And again, in a bipartisan effort. Another one was that there was a tax upon awards and damages from a lawsuit that had, several different ones. This is a 3-way bill here. In my particular area, a utility had a problem with their equipment causing a fire. And so in court, they were found liable on that. So they had to pay out big on that to the victims of the fire. And so you would think in order to help them rebuild their lives, their home has been completely lost, all their equity in the home would be lost, except how well they're insured or not insured. That's where the Fire Victim Trust Fund, that was called, help come in and provide at least a portion of the replacement, or covered a portion that wasn't covered by insurance, some combination thereof. Well, what I'm getting to is that IRS deemed that a taxable event, and that doesn't really seem right. Technically, could it be? We didn't think so. So we were able to pass legislation, again, through a strong bipartisan effort that also included some provisions for our colleagues in Florida, how they suffer from hurricanes there, and even that train derailment in East Palestine. So we were able to put those 3 together in a smaller package that was able to be successful. It flew through the House. We finally got it through the Senate, and the way they schedule things over there. And it's awaiting the president's signature, which we believe we will get. So proud to be able to get that done and have the IRS not tax people for their equity that they were simply basically having restored after the lawsuit. And another one would be another bipartisan bill, which is the disaster payment relief that was helpful towards, again, folks not being able to have it be taxed and be able to receive payments more timely. And so it goes on and on. So the bottom line is, instead of having to have bills to come fix things after a fire, I think the focus on Western Caucus should be How do we have a better management of these landscapes before there's fire and before people become victimized, or certainly the environment? Hundreds of thousands of acres of wildfire means that you're going to have devastation to the wildlife, to the landscape. Who knows how long it'll take to grow that forest back, especially the hotter the fire just seals the landscape up. Then you get rust and you get something else. Now, what's that do to the water quality of all the streams and brooks and rivers that sweep into the areas and end up being the water storage for people, or the hydroelectric production, which could be impaired by massive amounts of silt? So you'll hear me talk a lot about forestry and forest management in this, and there's a lot to do in the meantime to provide for being able to effectively fight wildfire. It's a battle every year to be able to keep the aircraft flying, it seems. And we had to have a battle over trying to keep fire retardants available. There was actually people suing to take away the retardant, that pinky orange stuff that he used to inhibit the fire from going to a particular area where the target is. And Matt, you take that away, you can just spray water and everything. Water, becomes mist when it comes out of the aircraft. I don't know how long you can count on being able to slow down fire from that particular grove of trees that flies over. So we were able to at least prevail for that for a period of time while they study the retardant and its makeup. So it's a tough battle. It seems common sense things can get tossed aside, and we won't have the tools. So that's a lot on timber and firefighting there, but it is important. It is a very Western issue. Oh, one more time, I'm pretty excited about this because as a farmer who sees the need for agriculture to be strong over this whole country, and so when we talk about the complexity of all these issues, we're grateful that people will pay attention, and that we can be an educational voice for that. And so the folks that help us to be able to do that, we have a lot of great people that sponsor us to take part in our events around here, or our field trips out on the road, where we attend and go have a direct look at these assets and resources. And so we're grateful for their help, their sponsorship, their interest, and their ability to help educate us as they bring their particular field of experience to us as a group, and then help us put it into plain enough English that we can educate the public.